only 1 week, Norm.
Oh no, I know.
Hey.
It's what happens when you get old. You get old brain again.
Oh, tell me about it. And I'm just barely getting started on that whole thing. The senility is setting in early. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Zocalo.
What's up, peeps?
Live. We're doing it live. As BC says. Hello, BC.
Hey, BC.
I'm Char. And that's Norm.
Hello.
We are your one-stop shop for all things Babylon 5, except for this week, because we got to wrap up season 3 of Star Trek Voyager, which we did before we had to take an impromptu break because, life just kind of got a little hectic. Oh, my God. Sometimes it just all hits at the same time, right? And it's overwhelming and you can't even breathe.
Right. No, totally. Just the IRL gets a little crazy.
A little bit. So thank you all for bearing with us. Hello, Mountains of Elysium. Glad you could join us. And we're here to wrap up season 3 of Star Trek Voyager, and then we will get back to your regularly scheduled Babylon 5 content.
Last time we were doing this, part 1 of the Voyager season 3 coverage, I almost felt like, I'm glad we went to a part 2 because I almost felt like we were trying to barreling ahead and not giving enough breathing room to talking about it.
Well, you know what? I didn't even feel like we were trying too hard to barrel through. It's just we had 26 episodes to get through, and that's tough to do in an hour.
Yeah, true. Unless you're doing a see it or skip it. But even then, sometimes we've broken those up into
even
2 parts too.
We have barreled through on those. We have.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, Super Dave. Thanks for joining us.
BC, Mountains of Elysium and Elysium. That sounds like a whole different thing.
Like a headache remedy.
Right, a giant mountain of headache medicine. Mountains of Elysium.
Mountains and mountains, you'll never feel pain again.
And Earl. What's up, Earl?
Hey, guys. Appreciate you coming out because this week we weren't very organized. We just kind of threw this one out into the ether at the very last moment and said, hey, show up if you want.
Yeah.
So thank you all for doing that. We appreciate it.
I would like to actually dedicate this show to Earl for Obi. For Oberon,
right.
His kitty.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he's gone beyond the rim.
Yeah.
So shall we toast to that?
We shall toast to Obi. And
let's
we'll see Obi
that.
one day beyond the rim. So
that's right.
Val to Obi. Woo!
Yeah,
I haven't had a Bavari on the air for quite some time. Yeah.
What are you drinking? Your whiskey?
Yeah, I'm having my Long Branch. I'm having a Long Branch. Okay, is it's kind of like a wild turkey special label.
Okay.
Which means it doesn't taste as aggressive, I guess, as wild turkey.
You meaning it doesn't completely burn as it's going down?
Exactly. This thing has been filtered in charcoal Texas mesquite, which is it's kind of like, anyway, it's a side project that Matthew McConaughey did with the Wild Turkey family.
Okay.
And he actually just wanted to come on board with it. This is so funny. This is the second time I've had this conversation this week. The first time I did it with John Champion because I was drinking it for Mission Log.
Nice.
So Matthew McConaughey came onto this project and he just wanted to be a spokesperson. They asked him if he wanted to be a spokesperson for Wild Turkey, and he says, well, sure, but I want to learn a little bit more about the product and the brand and the family that owns it, generations of this family that owns Wild Turkey. And he fell in love with it. And he said, I want to do something a little bit more signature me. He's like, just so I can, celebrate my Texas heritage as she is. So I'm going to drive down my Cadillac and drink some bourbon with some of these people. So
nice. I dig. That's great. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, but I haven't had one in a while, and you would be excited to know, and maybe some of you are excited to know that I have also stopped another vice of mine.
What?
Yeah, I've also stopped
Which
another
one?
vice of mine. I have decided to give up my pipe smoking, if not for a while, for probably ever. And it has nothing to do with any health concerns. It's just sometimes, I used to be a smoker. So there was a time where I literally I was like in the middle of, I cracked open a fresh pack for any of you who smoked out there. You get your pack, you tamp it down, so you get all the tobacco packed towards the filter. It's a ritual. It's kind of like, it's a very kind of OCD kind of thing.
Okay. As a non-smoker, this is information to me.
Yeah, so you grab the packs. So the packs, when they're on display, they're marketed with filters pointing up, tobacco pointing down. So when it travels, it kind of like rattles around and it loosens up the tobacco. So there's more air inside the actual tobacco cylinder or the
okay. So
cigar
that's why
cylinder.
you're packing it in.
So you smack it down. And it's kind of like a thing you do. It's almost kind of like a superstition. You know, you crack it a couple times and then you open it up and then you smoke it. Where's I going with this? Anyway, I remember. So when I first moved to California, and this was like over 20 years ago, I was in my apartment building, and I bought a brand new pack of Marlboro Lights. That's what I used to smoke, and I had one, and quit for 20 years.
Oh wow! And hey, good for you,
Yeah.
because I'm sorry, cigarettes they don't do anything good for you.
No, it was
They
weird.
really don't. There's no possible health benefit whatsoever. Like at least with wine, you've got some antioxidants, you know?
Or bourbon. You have
Well,
grains.
and with vodka, I don't know if there's any health benefits in that. So, I mean, if you got a vice, you got a vice.
Potatoes are healthy.
And you know what? This is potato vodka. It comes from Rigby, Idaho.
See?
Yeah.
Healthy.
Health food.
So with the whole pipe thing is kind of like I get these wild hairs up my wazoo, right, to try something.
Hey, don't we all?
All right, and whiskey's actually stuck, but whiskey is a nice. It kind of like relaxes me. All I did with the pipe is just I always smelled like smoke, and it smelled good. It was a good smell, right?
Like kind of that earthy tobacco kind of smell.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. So I had like the other day I was like, I'm kind of done with this. It just dawns on me. It dawned on me to start, and it dawned on me to stop. And that was it.
Huh. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So on to the next.
Its day is come and gone.
Yeah, I just kind of like wanted to try. Most of the time, I learn a ton about something like really, really quickly, and then I move on. It's like,
You're a scanner.
yeah, like and before my head explodes.
Right. Like your brain goes from one thing to the other, and then when you've absorbed so much about it, it's time to go on to a new thing.
Right, and it isn't like very few things have I kind of have I gone towards like expert level in like for my own personal sake. So I try it just enough to get a good conversational level about it. Say like at a party, right?
Hey, yeah.
So I did that with cigars. I did that with pipe tobacco. And I did that with, I did a lot of it with this. I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
Miniature painting, certain games, built my own computer, things like that, right? But it's just educational stuff.
It's learning. It's that constant process of just enriching yourself with knowledge and spreading your breadth of knowledge.
There's some interesting comments, though, going on here in the chat. I wanted to
Yes, there are.
jump
I love
into
it.
some of these. So yes, there was we all want to pay our tribute and our respect and our love for Obi, who's gone beyond the rim. And that I know this sounds weird, but we're both cat owners and cat lovers, and
Oh yeah.
and
I know what it's like. I mean, I lost Teddy 4 years ago, and I'm still not quite over it. I mean, that Teddy, for those of you who don't know, he was a cat that came into my life kind of at the perfect time, and he is a rescue. I saved him, but he saved me way more. Sometimes serendipitously, they come into your life at that perfect time, and just, I don't know. He was also too smart for his own good. Teddy was like genius level cat, and he was a real sweetheart. I'll have to put into the Discord chat a photo of Teddy so you guys can all see him. He was just a cool, amazing cat. He was so sweet. He loved to be held and get cuddled, and just, I don't know. I could go on for a full hour about Teddy, but that's not what we're here to do.
And I'm sorry to read that BC also in his post he said that he had his kitty Moo Moo passed earlier today.
Oh, earlier today? Oh, BC.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, condolences, sir. That sucks. I'm so sorry. It's never easy. No matter how long you've had them or how long you haven't had them, it doesn't matter. It hurts. It hurts so much. They're your family,
Right.
Yeah. I'm so sorry,
true.
guys.
BC
Let's pay
says
tribute to our cats in Discord. Speaking of which, I'm going to put in an invite link, as we do every week. just in case you do not already have it and you want to join in on the fun, we take our chats after the show to the Discord channel, and that's where you can find a lot of us discussing all sorts of things. We've got all sorts of categories from gaming to Babylon 5 to games proper, which I kind of need to reinvigorate because we got it started and now we need to get it rocking again. And random venting, just put it out there. We're not trained therapists, but we can be there to listen for each other, among other things.
Terry Lynn just joined us too. Hi, Terry Lynn.
Well, hello. Hi, Terry Lynn. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, thanks you guys for being on it. You're so good.
It's so funny. It's like we have like the most amount of like live, live viewers like right now on the week that I didn't post like anything to the Twitter feed.
What does that say about our promotion?
I don't know. Sometimes you're just like, okay, I'll get to it later. Or maybe people are like chiming in like, oh, did I miss it? Right?
Yeah. Well, and hey, if you do miss it, you can always catch the replay. And you know where to find us on Discord. So there is the link in the chat. For those of you who want to see it, it's basically invite only. That's how Discord works. This link will expire in a couple of days. So if you still need one, you can get in touch with us on Twitter. We're both on there. My handle is the Profanity. Norm, yours is Lounge Lizard. You can see it on the screen there.
Yep.
Hit us up. We'll hook you up.
Hit us up. We'll hook you up. Yeah.
There. What do you say? We get this party started.
Yeah. Well, we still got a fair amount of stuff to cover here.
We do. So we need to get through some episodes. We left off on Coda, and I don't feel like we're done with that yet.
Yeah. I actually okay. So this is season 3, episode 15, Coda. Let's see. It was written by Jerry Taylor.
Yeah. Yes, the showrunner of season 3, which I believe we did mention. And I think maybe we had just started getting into the whole Janeway and Chicote relationship dynamic. Yeah. But we're not finished with that. Shall we lead with that?
We're not finished with Coda?
We're not finished with Janeway and Chicote, because Coda is kind of like the apex relationship or episode of season 3 pertaining to those two.
I do remember we did cover this a little bit, because I know that you said you didn't like the way that she, I guess, watched her own funeral, observed her own funeral.
Yeah, it's all kind of weird because it's all in her own mind. It's how she is envisioning her own funeral. Yeah, and I
had kind of like a bone to pick with the whole. Well, if she's seeing her father in his admiral's uniform, then why is he wearing a
comm badge? Yes,
comm badge that's not TNG comm badge, but hey, it is what it is.
They might have screwed that up, but then it could have been the projection of the alien screwing things up, which could have been our first clue that maybe they didn't get it right. I remember
that was what I thought too. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, Janeway and Chicote. This is like a big freaking issue. If you've heard me talk about Star Trek, I don't know ever. There's so many ways that they maybe could have done this, should have done it maybe. Jerry Taylor, I think, was getting so much fan mail at about this time. She wrote resolutions as well in season 2, where again, they're stranded on the planet, they're playing house, yada, yada. And there's this whole issue, well, should we put these two together? And I remember an interview which mentioned a press conference where all the actors and the writers, what have you, are talking with the press, and Kate Mulgrew deliberately asks to the writers, do you really want Janeway and Chicote to get it on?
Really?
She flat out asked. And the response was mixed. Kind of like, well, maybe. And then there was a little bit of talk of, well, maybe resistance isn't futile, blah, blah, blah. And just, yeah. And so they were really going back and forth and debating this. Kate Mulgrew really ultimately landed on the side of, no, let's not do this. Let's go for the deep friendship, which, Norm, I think you mentioned in the last episode, where it goes beyond romance and sex and all of that, where they just have this very deep understanding of one another. And deep down, maybe they do love one another, but it's not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's probably I think it was probably maybe the smarter way to go, just in terms of understanding kind of like the captain first officer relationship. Because think about Kirk and Spock. That's
well, I mean, Do you really want to go there?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, the relationship that started like a billion slash fictions, right?
Exactly. Fanzines in the 70s basically started the whole thing on slash fic, even fanfic, just generally speaking, with those two.
But you have two people that serve together to the point where, like Edith Keeler was saying, that they finish each other's sentences, but they don't even really finish. When Spock says, I've finished the sweeping the floor," and then she goes, "Captain," and then they kind of look at her, and he says it without even saying it, right?
Yeah, she's so perceptive. I love Edith Keeler.
Yeah, but that's how strong their relationship was. I don't know if it was the same between Picard and Riker, that kind of strength, but I think it was kind of like between Kira and Cisco, or at least that's what I'm getting.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because I definitely think it's that way with Janeway and Chicote, where they really have this deep, entrenched understanding between the two of them. Maybe because of all that time they spent together on the planet.
Perhaps, perhaps. But I think
either way, they're they're like that.
And I think that's as far as it needs to go. It's you don't have to have all of the other stuff that goes along with it to have a great relationship. And sometimes maybe that just complicates things. I don't know.
And certainly in a command structure where they're trying to run this ship and just get them home, for crying out loud. Yeah, that is definitely a double-edged sword. I understand from Kate Mulgrew's perspective why she didn't want this relationship to happen in terms of a romance proper. She didn't want it to become a soap opera.
Sure.
The phrase Melrose Space, playing off of Melrose Place, a popular soap opera at the time.
That's what I was watching. I was watching Melrose Place back then.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I never watched it. I was never a soap opera fan.
It was...
My mom was into those, so therefore I could not like them.
That's a story for another time.
Okay, maybe on an AMA week. How about that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Anyway, I totally understand that rationalization where that would really not work for Star Trek in that particular sense. No way does anybody want to see that. No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
It would take away too much from, I think, just you would always pay attention or try and pay attention to the romances that were evolving, right?
Well, sure. And then you also have at this time Tom and Bolana slowly inching together. And so you've got the romance going already with them. And dare I say, it's probably better off that way. So for Janeway and Chicote, if they were to go for a romantic relationship, then it's just like, okay, who's going to be, waking up in bed when blah, blah, blah. That's not the kind of show Star Trek was supposed to be. That's not what people want out of Star Trek or expect out of it. Yeah. And honestly, don't get me wrong. I love Jerry Taylor. I love a lot of the writers who have written for Star Trek. But I don't think I would expect them to handle a romance between a commander and a first officer properly. Because it's a very delicate thing.
Right.
And you can see how they did mishandle it over the years where they eventually bogged it down to the point of, oh, it's against regulations. Nobody does that. You can't do it. Except for when Picard did it. And from Kate Mulgrew's perspective, it's like, I'm the first female captain. I've got to protect that and guard it with my life. We can't let Huggy Poo Kissy Face get involved whatsoever.
True.
Because she's thinking of what she was told as the target audience to be males 18 to 35. They don't want to see a woman of about 40 years of age just, all the time. That's like watching their mom do it. She's not cool with that, and they're not cool with that. So I understand the mentality. However, at the time, I was really, I got to confess, I was kind of in favor of the whole thing, thinking it could be something really special to show two women out there who are trying to be the Supermen in the 90s, where they are super mom, they're super career woman, they're keeping the house in order, they have all these old expectations on top of new ones, and trying to do it all. Well, Captain Janeway could have portrayed that as a role model, either for better or for worse, and maybe been a voice for women in that sense. Where, hey, look, you don't have to sacrifice your career for romance or vice versa. You can have it all.
Mm-hmm. What happens if it goes south, though? What happens if it goes south in the Delta Quadrant, right? There's it's not like
kind of a bitch, because you're stuck on that ship.
That's what I mean, though. It's kind of like I understand maybe they're like, you know what? If we were it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If we were back in the Alpha Quadrant, that means that we never would have been put in a situation where we've probably had to work so close together. I'd still be on the Mckee side. You'll still be on the Federation side. We would never have come together.
Now that is probably one of the biggest missteps they had in this whole thing, right? Because Voyager, and therefore Captain Janeway, was sent to go after Chicote and the Mckee to basically become their prisoners.
True.
They should have attacked it more from that angle, but they neutered that so quick.
Yeah.
Where it's like they could have had almost like these sworn enemies. I mean, Chicote had every reason not to like Captain Janeway because she was going to send him off to his certain doom, But they didn't do it. And that would have been more interesting to me to see those, I don't know, almost enemies becoming friends and then maybe more.
That's kind of like where I think that probably this whole thing needed a little bit more kind of like maturing, because there could have been a time where Janeway invited Chicote to her captain's room or ready room or whatever for dinner and said like, okay, we got to bury this hatchet between you and me, because you're the leader of the Mckee, I'm the leader of this ship, this is my ship. I mean, she did say this, to a certain degree, but it's like, look, you and I got to put on a different, united front because we got to get home. And if our crews are going at each other because we're both going at each other, then they're using us as like fighting parents to play off against each other, right?
Yes, exactly. So you know what? There is this really horrible, I want to say, missing scene in Caretaker that we should have gotten where they have this convo.
Yeah.
They become that united front where he says, you know what? You're right. How do you want to go about this? Because I'm willing to go with it with you, but we need to decide now how we're going to do it. And that's when they decide on Starfleet command structure. Because, I mean, really, the Mckee don't necessarily have rules.
Yeah,
it's easy to just go, okay, we're going to do Starfleet. Also, he's former Starfleet.
I think I probably would have done it not so much in Caretaker, but maybe a couple episodes down the line. Just so you let the Mckee and the Federation attitudes boil up to a point, and maybe like I can't remember like which episode it was, but they're like maybe when they went to like this is probably when the best time they would have done it is that they all had to work together to make sure that they could get that communication through the stable wormhole. That was like episode 5 or 6, right?
6, yeah.
Yeah, 6. So they were like, look, put all this crap aside. We need to use this wormhole because this is the best way of getting home. So you want to get home? You want to get home? Let's all work together so we can get home. All right, let's drop this Mckee versus Federation nonsense because we need people from your side, like Seska and Torres, right? And you need people from our side, right? Like Tuvok and Paris and Kim.
Sure. Yeah, I would have loved to have emphasized that a little more. They did it in the episode Learning Curve, right? Where Tuvok kind of rounds up the renegades of the Mckee.
Yeah.
And gets them to work together. But we should have seen more instances of, hey, look, we're better off working together than trying to bicker about every little detail. I would have loved it if we would have actually had a little bit of a missing scene in Caretaker just to see Janeway and Chicote unite, but nobody else is really on board with it. And then seeing the tension boil and mount over time. And then they have these little instances where they do need to work together. And then ultimately, then they do. By season 3, they're unified.
Right.
They're all on board for that common cause. Because out in the Delta Quadrant, who cares if you're a Mckee? Nobody.
Nobody cares if you're Federation either.
Exactly. Yes. And so it's like all 150 of us against the world here.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of like they're pirates in a way. Right. And the only thing that's kind of keeping them afloat is a certain code of ethics. Right.
Exactly. And then that's why you've got the Starfleet rules and regulations to try and keep some sort of stability structure in place.
But see, I never saw the Mckee being like anti-Starfleet structure. I always saw them as being anti-Starfleet policy.
Yes, I agree. Right? 100%, because Starfleet kind of screwed them over.
Right. But they've
got every reason.
But they're like the workflow and the org charts and the way that they get things done and the hierarchy and stuff like that, they use that, right? Because they're former Starfleet. So it works for them. It's just the political policy doesn't work for them. Right.
I think the only person who really had a problem with Starfleet rules and regs maybe was Seska.
Yeah, that's Seska. But Seska was, she's a Cardi. She was
she was a loose cannon.
She was Obsidian Order.
Yeah.
That's a whole different. I mean, she was like 3-4 levels deep.
Yeah,
right?
That's a whole different ball game. Yeah, she was kind of a force upon herself there. I want to jump into the comments real quick.
Sure.
So, Earl has a great comment about Neelix and Kess. Yeah, they dropped that fairly early on in the series history. In the 3rd season, they officially break up. I think a lot of that, honestly, was fan reaction to those two. It was not positive. People did not like them as a couple. They thought it was gross.
Why?
Because Kess is very young, and Neelix is kind of like the middle-aged, gross, older guy.
Yeah, but that like goes into the whole like Q and Janeway thing with the Q and the Gray. Like Q is like infinite, and Janeway's mortal, and he wants her to have his. I mean, it's like, what does that matter?
I mean, maybe in the 24th century it shouldn't matter, but people felt like Kess is barely just out of jailbait territory, and here's this middle-aged guy going after her. We don't want to watch this.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, and we're going to get to this in which episode is it? Real life? No. Before and after, right?
Yes.
Right? Because Kess's species, the Ocampa, is it?
Yep.
They age for 10 years. So every year is a decade.
Yeah, roughly.
Right?
Basically, yeah, that's a good way to break it down. Mm-hmm.
Right. So she was like she was in her first year when they first joined Voyager, right?
Yeah, so therefore she's 10 years old.
Well, then.
Okay, that's not making a good case.
No, but 10 years old, that's 10 years old from our moral understanding.
Exactly. Well, and
right?
I think for an Ocampa, she's maybe just barely out of her adolescence. So maybe she's a little more like 20.
Yeah.
She's a fully grown adult Ocampan.
Right. And I don't know, like, I guess that as human beings, we kind of like throw this age issue, this ageism on top of like relationships and things of that nature. Right. But they're aliens. Yeah. Like, alien morality doesn't, they don't abide by our morality.
It's true. There's also that issue, and they never really addressed that. But ultimately, the writers just capitulated to that reaction and said, okay, we're going to break them up and see how these guys do on their own. And this could have been a really good chance for Kess to kind of come into her own. But the sad thing is they didn't do that much with her really until between Warlord and before and after, she doesn't get that much. She's maybe in sickbay.
Yeah, that's true.
Little things here and there, but not a whole lot of character growth. Hate to say.
I think when it comes to like ensemble casts, you're always going to have a character or two that gets combined into a new character, or they just get kind of tossed aside, altogether.
Kind of like a Travis Mayweather on Enterprise, who was sorely underused.
Travis and Hoshi.
Hoshi,
don't kill me started. Like, why wouldn't you bring a communications officer on every single freaking mission that has new languages? It's beyond me. But,
I mean, yes, she did invent the universal translator, but
right?
Come on. Right? I mean, Hoshi, vastly underappreciated too. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I had so many thoughts. I think I did a dedicated
Got lots of feelings
episode.
On that one.
Yeah. Chris Jones and I on Trek FM, we talk a lot about Hoshi. And I'm like, the reason why you didn't bring your only linguist on every away mission is because why? Yeah. Archer, buddy, you're not thinking. I'm just saying.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Enterprise, so we've got to keep on track here. All right, so I don't know about you. I've said my piece on Coda and the whole Janeway Chicote thing. Do you have anything you want to add, or shall we move on?
No, I think you're right. And I think that we'll probably, when we do season 4, we'll probably discuss a little bit more of where Janeway and Chicote are again.
Oh, no doubt.
I
don't want to spoil anything, but no doubt.
Okay. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not spoiling anything.
Don't spoil anything. Okay.
So, then we go to Blood Fever. And this is basically where Paris and Torres are forced to have sex to save her life.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Right, poor Tommy. Isn't that terrible?
Well,
but the whole premise though is awkward. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so she inherits some of the Ponfar, right, from
That's
Tuvok.
Right, through Vorik and yeah. Okay.
And then she bites Tom, and then she's like Klingon Ponfar That's crazy, right?
And intense.
Yeah, intense.
Klingons should not get Ponfar.
But I like how like Tom's like, if we're gonna do this, I want it to be done, legit, the right way. So let's just duke it out.
Yeah, think about how Tom started in season 1. He's kind of this ladies' man who's basically programming, a pig pool shark and sandrines in season 1, only to be this gentleman who actually respects her by season 3. I would say, even at this point, Tom has one of the best arcs of a character in Star Trek lore.
Well, he's only gigolo-ish if you're twins, So you got to be, if Torres was twins, he would be like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah. I mean, he is still kind of like, what's up? But he's doing it the quote unquote right way because he wants this to be a real relationship, not just a one night stand.
Right. Right. Yep.
And he doesn't really care too much about having the Delaney sisters or 5 other girlfriends for that matter. He's kind of given that up. He's changed.
Yeah.
You can tell.
The Delaney sisters, sisters are plural. Doesn't necessarily mean 2. It could
be 5.
Like the Andrews sisters, right? So.
Okay. So, Earl has a great comment. Klingons plus... I can't talk anymore. Klingons plus Ponfar equals Pon way too far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking broken bones and concussions here in a cave.
Yep.
Intense. Yeah. All right. Back to some comments here. Terry Lynn mentions Captain Picard having his romance with Lieutenant Darren. Yeah, we very briefly did bring that up. I think it was before you got here, though. And they kind of show in that episode, right, where it really isn't great for a captain to be in a romance with a subordinate officer for that very reason, because you're going to have to send that subordinate officer probably to their death at some point, or at least put them in danger. Can you or can you not deal with that?
Right. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yep.
Yes. Let's see what else we got here. Earl says, in Kate's defense, look at all the crap she already been through with the hair. Totally. Yeah. All of the corporate eyes hitting the sand stage, watching her every little move. That had to have just been absolutely daunting. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I think by season 3, they had loosened up somewhat. She had proven herself and just said, guys, I got this.
Yeah.
And she did.
Totally.
So leave her the F alone and let her do her job.
She handles, everything with incredible grace. You know,
she's
and
a professional.
Poise. She's totally professional. And I love seeing her on screen. I mean, it's so here's the thing. So I think Mary Chieffo and I kind of had a moment.
Oh, that's right, because you got to do Mission Log Live with her last week.
Yeah, so we were talking.
You lucky dog.
We did a lightning round with her and said, ooh. The first question was favorite captain, and she popped. I mean, like without even blinking, she said Janeway.
That girl.
Yeah, right. And I go, yeah, right. It's like,
I see you.
Yes, I was like, I dig that.
Yeah.
And me too. You know, I actually think that if I didn't have a nostalgic captain of choice, which will always be the TOS Kirk, not even like Admiral Kirk or anything like that. It's always going to be like TOS Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
It'll be Captain Janeway. Captain Janeway is my favorite captain.
She's my jam. That's my homegirl. That was my role model growing up.
Shit.
And I didn't.
Captain Janeway's your jam.
I know.
No shit. 300 plus episodes of To the Journey later. And these.
190, but yeah.
300 plus. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. I've talked a lot of Captain Janeway. Always have loved her. Always will. You know, it didn't really hit me just how much of a profound influence she was on me, really, until I did start podcasting about Voyager.
Right.
And did so for 4 years. I mean, okay. Yeah, I guess she really did have a pretty profound impact on my life. Yeah, okay, I can admit that now.
I think one of the reasons why I love her so much as a captain is because she really is balancing like 3 different rings, you know, like in a circus. She's balancing, like, first of all, getting home. So making sure that everyone's on point to get home. Secondly, all the interpersonal relationships, because she basically said, I think one episode, it's like the 4th or 5th episode, she's like, everyone's going to start pairing off. You know. Oh, that's with Creeper. That's with Creeper. Yeah, that was with Creeper. That episode.
Creepy pleasure guy?
Yeah, creepy pleasure guy, because she kind of paired off with him in that episode, right?
Barf. No.
I just want
By
to
the
get
way,
goes,
have
don't
you
you
been
love this
listening
scarf?
to-
I love this scarf. Don't you love this scarf? I love that on you. Doesn't it look fantastic? It looks fantastic.
It's not at all pleasurable.
It's so, guy's
I
so
hate
creepy.
that guy. He's so goddamn gross. Did you listen to the episode of the Delta Flyers podcast that they did on that?
I'll have to catch
I don't
up
know
to
if you
that.
listen to Delta Flyers. It's
No.
Robbie Duncan McNeil, Garrett Wong. For those of you
Yeah.
who don't know, they're going through every episode of Voyager, and when they reviewed that episode, they were like, "This guy is a creeper.
He's a total creeper.
He is," and I'm so glad they called it out. So good for them.
I remember
anyway.
I saw when I saw that episode, I texted you with a picture of him. I was like, this dude's a total stalker.
Yes,
He's a total
Yes, you
creeper.
did. And
he's
you
just
were
like,
right.
And he's just eye banging Janeway like the entire time. It's like horrible. Right?
I feel so gross. I need a shower after watching that episode.
Wait, to be fair, he was pretty much eye banging everybody, not just her.
I mean, he was, but especially Janeway, and just.
yeah. Oh, I
And
don't
this-
find this at
you
all
know, okay.
pleasurable.
I know we're not talking about season 1, but very quick side note. Dude, at this point, she's still pining for her fiance, Mark, right? In some
Yeah.
false hope that she's going to get home anytime soon.
Right.
And yet, this dude,
Well, he doesn't
and
know.
why is she falling for him? I mean,
'Cause
no.
He's charming as a mofo.
No, he's not.
Well, to her, she is.
No.
Or he is.
No.
Yeah.
No, Harry the cockblocker did good work in that episode.
His timing was good.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to
Yeah.
season 3, shall we?
We've only covered 2 episodes. in
Oh my God, we suck at
35
this.
minutes.
Okay, here's the lightning round here.
All right.
Okay, Unity. This is the one where Chicote meets a mini collective.
Oh, I like this episode.
You did. You liked it more than I do. So
Yeah?
talk about why you like it.
Well, I mean, I like it because it does set up Scorpion a little bit.
Little
you know?
bit.
But I
You're
also,
right, that's good.
but I also like it because it does kind of inform me. It does tie into Picard a lot.
That's also a good point.
And I know that
Being
it.
collective.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. That's not the reason why I should like it, because it should stand on its own, and I think it does stand on its own. Why I like it is because it shows for the first time, at least for my understanding, the first time that there are Borg out there that are trying to declare independence. But the thing is that once they do that, they start becoming warring factions, just like every other faction on Earth. So, right?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So when you take out, it's an interesting discussion on once you take away this singular focus for everyone's purpose, a singular purpose, then you start creating these individuals or individualisms that start basically wanting different things, creating different policies, increasing different demands, applying different politics. And
Yeah.
I found that it's like, that's very political, which is really what Star Trek is very good at. So,
yeah. Oh my
right?
God. Anybody who says Star Trek is not political and never has been political, what the hell show are you watching?
So that's why I like Unity. I saw that, okay, you took everyone's ability not to choose away, and giving the ability to choose made it worse. Right?
Just because everybody chose different things. And you're right. That is a very interesting reflection and commentary on, especially an individualistic culture like the United States of America, where we're all about our individual freedoms and freedom and of choice and will and what have you. That's what we value the most.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, in Unity, it was working, I think, because these people recognized what the Borg was doing. But at the same time, though, since they came from so many different species, each species has started to remember their own policies, either religious policies or political policies or cultural policies, and they all started to conflict. And I thought it was an interesting way of how basically it was kind of like a bizarro version of the United Federation of Planets.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And how do you find common ground amongst all those differences and find a way to work together?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of like the biggest existential question of our day. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also does. It kind of like puts the Picard Borg effect into Chicote's basically his blood chemistry, because he has nanites now.
Yeah.
Borg nanites in his blood that allow him to connect to the collective in a way.
It's true. Yeah. Also, the very end of Blood Fever, we see a Borg corpse, right? letting us know, giving us the warning that we're inching into Borg territory here. We're about to hit that. It's going to happen.
Right.
Now, this episode follows right after that, and it's not quite exactly hitting Borg space, but it's like, okay, we're doing Borg stuff now.
Right. Right.
So, okay, Darkling. This is another episode you liked more than I did.
The Doctor's attempt to graft other personalities into his program causes him to develop an evil alternate personality. Yeah, this is when the Doctor goes Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because...
Yeah.
Oh, was this... This wasn't the one with the family. No, it's not the one with the family. Is it?
No, that's real life.
I love that episode.
It's really
All right, we're
good.
getting
So
there.
can we talk very briefly about this one and then go to that one eventually? Because we have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here's why I don't like this one. And I want you to defend it, okay?
Okay.
I feel like Robert Picardo, no matter what material you give him, he's going to make it shine. That dude can spin anything into gold. So you're going to give the Doctor an episode where he just kind of goes a little crazy and demented? Okay, do we really need that? Does any growth come from that? What is the purpose of that?
I'm trying to remember specifically. I know that... Yeah, I think that with 26 episode seasons, you're going to get some filler.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's kind of what I feel this is we're like, okay, we're going to make the Doctor go insane for an episode. Have fun, Picardo.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for him, it probably would have fallen like completely flat. Right?
Sure.
But you give him anything and it's
he'll
gold.
Carry this thing to the bitter end.
He'll spin that lead into gold. Big
Absolutely. Time. And he did. He did. And no discredit to him. It's just, as an episode as a whole, I get nothing out of it.
And I'd have to watch it again to see if I could mine anything out of this, aside from the fact that it's him doing a great job as the Doctor. But that's not like we're going to get to like the next couple episodes, because the next couple episodes are probably some of my favorites in Voyager. All
right, let's do it. Let's just get there. How about Rise?
I thought that was cool. And I loved that Neelix is like, you know what, Tuvok, F you, because I'm...
I really kind of have to take Neelix's side on this whole thing, because Tuvok really does kind of, well, for lack of a better word, he just shits on Neelix all the time. He has never liked Neelix. And granted, Neelix can be a pain in the ass. He's especially a pain in the ass to Tuvok. But Tuvok doesn't even give him a chance.
Right.
So I like that in this episode, they kind of have it out.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that, I think that Ethan and Tim are just great together. And I love that Neelix is trying to see, this is where kind of like more separation between Neelix and Kess starts taking place, because Neelix wants to do all these things. Mm-hmm. This is the writers. I'm saying the writers are giving him all these opportunities. He wants to expand. He wants to become the ambassador. He knows all these things. He's getting a lot more meat on the bone than obviously the Kess is. So when he stands up to Tuvok, he's like, look, I'm tired of being your whipping boy. I've been trying really hard to be a part of this crew, and all you're giving me is grief. And I think the reason why is because it's kind of like Ivanova giving Marcus grief, right? He's like, I don't know who you belong to. You don't belong to Earth Alliance. You don't belong to the Army of Light. You're a Ranger. I don't know you. I don't know your policies. I don't know your religion. I don't know your beliefs. I don't know
You're
none
a loose
of it.
cannon.
Yeah, and I don't until I can quantify that, I don't trust you.
Yeah,
and that's what Tuvok is doing.
Down their relationship, especially at the start, right?
Yeah.
That whole conversation they're having. Yeah, that's the heart of it.
Right. Tuvok knows that if you're Starfleet, I know that I can depend on you because you've been trained. If you're Mckee, I can depend on your Starfleet training, not necessarily your political beliefs, but I can depend on your training. You've been trained, right?
Sure. Well, granted, not every Mckee was former Starfleet, but they have been trained. Now, Neelix is more of a loose cannon simply because he knew absolutely nothing about Starfleet regulations, the Federation, had absolutely no concept of that until Voyager showed up. He had a lot more to go.
It's almost kind of like, instead of Rise, it should have been called Proving Ground or something.
Yeah, Rise.
Well, Rise,
a boring episode title.
Rise to the occasion.
Maybe so. Now, favorite son. This is the one where Patricia Tallman beats Garrett Wang with phallic objects.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does.
That's what I remember of this
She beats
episode.
him with a Minbari fighting pipe. That's what I said.
Yeah, this is an interesting concept. I'm not sure if it's executed really well as a story, but I love the idea of it because it's different.
Well, it reminded me a lot of some other sci-fi tropes where you send out like kind of like Odo, right? They sent out like all these changeling embryos to populate the universe and then come back with all this information so that their culture can learn from that. And
Sure.
that's kind of like where Harry was. But it proved that he wasn't that, right? It was like a ruse just to,
Totally. To basically help the Amazon women repopulate.
Right. And
They need a sperm donor. So I don't know.
it's Harry.
Get season 1 Tom Paris
Right.
into a bathroom with a Playboy, and he'd be happy to help.
Yeah, but the funny thing is Harry's like Mr. Prim and Proper, and he's like,
He is. Poor guy. He's just
Hey.
like, all these women want me. What do I do?
right. I'm it's kind of like I'm lined up. You know Monty Python and the Holy Grail, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Galahad going into like the castle with Zoot, in the Grail thing. He's like, no, I'm, you'll need to see it. He goes,
like that.
yeah,
So, BC, Patricia Tallman plays one of the women in, this harem
yeah. I guess it's Harry.
that wants to procreate with Perry. She's there. She's an actress in this.
Yeah,
She worked in Star Trek quite a bit, both as a stunt woman and then in this case as an actress.
right. And she does.
She went
beat-
between that and Babylon 5 quite a bit.
It was good work when you can get it.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to get the work wherever you can get it.
Yeah, and knowing Jerry probably helps too.
It can't hurt. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But it was like, I mean, it was filler. You're not nothing's you're gonna be like hitting it out of the park like every single episode, right? But
Yeah, I mean, poor Harry. I mean, this is really not his shining moment here.
it's so funny too because when he was like tying up the two girls, he's like, "Hey, let's play this game. Let me tie you up to this chair." So,
Oh my God. Yeah,
right?
the whole S&M kind of vibe in Harry, not exactly meshing.
And the funny thing is that, like watching Garrett do that, I was like, dude, it's either you're an incredible actor or you're really this awkward with women.
I
Right.
can't wait to hear what he has to say about this episode on Delta Flyers. Just what does he remember? What does he remember thinking and feeling? How did he feel about the whole thing just in general as a Harry story?
Right.
I want to know. I can't wait for it.
I can almost see like Garrett's like, is my mom seeing this? Is my mom watching this? Right?
How weird has that got to be for actors? Just knowing you're going to be doing uncomfortable things. You're going to be doing very sexual things at times. I mean,
Right.
you might be doing nudes at some point in your career. How do your parents feel about that sort of thing? Because I imagine it's all over the map in terms of acceptance.
Pretty much, right?
Ooh, I never thought about that much.
All right, so
Wow.
we're coming to like some pretty much like rubber meets the road type episodes for me.
We are. And
Yeah.
before we do that, though, we got to say happy birthday to Terry Lynn. She very recently had a birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Terry Lynn!
Yeah,
Happy
and on
birthday,
Colorado
happy
Day.
birthday,
Yay,
happy
Colorado.
birthday.
I
Val
miss
too.
Colorado so much, Val too. Colorado's a beautiful state. I really do love it.
My brother used to live in Fort Collins, and I remember
Oh, no kidding.
he played Red Rocks once. And-
I love Red Rocks.
Yeah,
oh
he
my
played-
God, I've seen the best concert of my life there.
yeah,
Nine Inch Nails, 2008, Lights in the Sky tour at Red Rocks was the most amazing experience. And for
Great
those of you who
amphitheater.
don't know, it's an outdoor arena constructed on a Red Rock range.
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It is
you
gorgeous.
get the overlook of a city at night just beyond the stage, and it's amazing.
And you get like natural acoustics, of Red Rock being like
It's so good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he played there with his band, and he took me to this place, and it was a great breakfast place. I think it was called, shoot, I can't remember the name
Waffle
of it now.
House?
No, I know Waffle House. Waffle House doesn't make it past the Mason-Dixon line.
I mean, it's great at 3 a.m. Just
It
saying.
was called. Oh, Terry Lynn, help me out! It's a breakfast place. It's famous in Denver and Fort Collins. It's called like Spuds or what's it called?
I don't know. But
Anyway, it'll come up. I need just to. You know why? Because
All
like
right.
my brain is like fighting, like trying to get to these last couple episodes.
Yeah. Okay. We got to discuss before and after because this is some crazy stuff here.
Okay, yeah, I liked Before and After quite a bit.
This is a good episode, right?
Yeah.
Kess is traveling through time. There's some crazy things going on. Harry is the father of her grandchild,
Now,
right?
at first, I didn't really understand how this was working, and then I remembered that they only have 10 years.
So, yeah, a common lifespan, very small, very quick.
Yeah.
And so generations just click, click, click.
Right. And then there's the Year of Hell stuff that gets kind of previewed.
Yes, and you've seen Year of Hell at this point.
Right, but I mean, like, not in a while, so it's pretty big stuff that's going on with this episode.
Yeah, but they're basically foretelling the Krenim, which we're going to get to know more.
Right.
That it's going to be a thing, and in this future that's portrayed, it's not good.
No. I do remember that. That's, they really should have done like the Xindi arc with the Year of Hell and just done the entire year
I know. It was just a little bit, I think, too before that time where the execs at Paramount that they had to answer to were not at all interested in arcs. Like, that's just not the way things were done. And it's sad because Brian and Braga wanted to do it for one thing. Mm-hmm. And then also, it really would have worked for this show. We should have seen it beaten up. We should have slowly seen it just get the crap kicked out of it.
Right. By the time it docked, back in Starfleet, it should have been just a freaking mess.
It should have been limping to the finish line.
Or like in Enterprise, it should have been like in E squared, like all the like stuff that was like strapped onto it to keep it together, like duct tape and stuff.
Little pieces of things. Yes, totally.
Like you would have had like Vidian tech, or you would have had like Krenim tech, or you would have had Borg tech, obviously, before they like scrubbed all the Borg tech off. It would have just been like really, it's kind of like pristine at the beginning before it like got stolen by the caretaker, and at the end. I mean, you would have sent like, Section 31 and be like, dude, this is like a gold mine of stuff to like, to dissect.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I really want to dwell on this, but we got to keep going. Real life. That's the one where the Doctor has a family. Amazing episode.
Amazing. I was crying. I was crying at the end of it.
And I think if you're a parent, especially, you're feeling the pull on this one, right? But
snooze.
And I am going to spoil.
I'm sorry, Terry Lynn. You're right. It's snooze. Yes, you are so right. Thank you so much.
Oh,
that was driving me crazy. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Next time I'm in Colorado, I'm totally there.
The best coffee I've ever had.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. All right. Good to know. Nice. God, I miss Colorado. Dang it. Maybe next year if we're ever allowed to travel again.
Yeah, right. But the end of Real Life that got me, because I really loved how Tom's like, things just aren't wrapped up quick and easy. It's like if you really want to experience what it is to be a parent or what it is to have a family, you have to go with everything. You have to have the good and the bad.
You got to take it as is. And I love that Bolana, redid the parameters to give him a real taste of what it's like, because your kids, you have no idea what you're going to get in terms of having a child. You might have that perfect little child. You might have a complete hellion of a child. You might have a disabled child. You might have anywhere, on the spectrum. You might have a child you completely disagree with in every single way, but they're your child. Right.
And everything could be going perfectly. You could have the most perfect life. And then all of a sudden, this accident happens, right? And it just devastated me watching him do that. And that's where, when I was watching Picardo, I'm like, dude, you're seriously one of the greatest things like ever in the history of ever.
It's true. He is so freaking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it's a great story. I just wish they would have kept it going. I would have loved to have seen him have this holographic family off and on for a long time. Let's check in, see how is everybody doing.
But see, that goes into the whole, not dwelling on arcs, kind of like mentality that these,
exactly.
that this era of science fiction has. So
he has the adventure and then we move on, which I don't know. I'm sorry, is kind of sad because that sort of defeats the whole point of what they're trying to say.
Yeah. There was a lot of the Doctor's going to learn from this experience arc, but this episode, it really was like one of those special moments of TV that you watch.
Yeah. Even with like 45 minutes of content, they really just drive it home. Yeah. Picardo obviously knocking it out of the park. It's so good. Now, Distant Origin. this is an interesting story idea. Yes?
My favorite episode of the season.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Hey,
Yep.
cool. No, it's cool. I really like it. It's unique. And whether or not you believe that, old dinosaurs eventually ascended into space, I don't care. This is sci-fi, guys.
Yeah.
Go with it and have fun.
But see, this goes into like deep inside to like my sci-fi roots, where like say in Stargate, the Egyptian culture was based on spacefaring aliens. I mean, there are a lot of things that are based on spacefaring alien theories.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
I'm saying
but
like
it's
aliens. Right, so El Dorado and the Lost City of Gold, like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, in Egypt, the pyramids were built on mathematics that didn't exist back then. Pi didn't exist, like 3.14 and blah blah blah, all this stuff. Right, this is what Distant Origin is. It's about like going out there and then all these different alien races. Oh, and it also brings back Hogan. From that's what I remember last episode. I said like we're going to remember Hogan because it was Hogan's remains that alloys the scientists to say like, I was like,
he's got like the VIN number in his uniform,
Yeah, like
indicating it was that Voyager. Yes,
like the replicator pattern number, right? Because like
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because like in printers, like in like Xeroxes and Epsons and all that kind of stuff, the reason why that you'll get busted for photocopying money is because they print kind of like a very faint code on every single thing that you print. You can only see it really, really close up on a high resolution scanner.
No shit, I didn't know that.
When it identifies money as being printed. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the same thing.
That. I mean, obviously, I'm totally a criminal, and I know all about replicating money.
I mean, that's what I've heard. That's just
that's what I've heard. That's what they've told you. I see.
But I thought that was a cool. I mean, I love stuff like that. I love episodes like that.
That's totally cool. Yeah. Oh God, I could do a whole hour on this guy. But how about Displaced? I don't remember a damn thing about this episode.
It was an interesting thing where remember they had like
people disappear, right?
They disappear. Voyager's being taken over. They get stuck in like these cells, and like there are like there's like a bunch of humans on one cell. There's a bunch of alien races on like different cells and stuff like that. And they try and like they start like breaking through each like cell barrier, and they all start. It's very science fiction-y. It's very filler. It's not great.
Okay, let's move on then.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go on to worst case scenario.
Oh, I like this episode quite a bit.
This is a good one. Yeah. Now, I will argue that I wish they would have done it a little sooner. When maybe Mckee and Starfleet tensions were a little higher. However, it's still a fun romp. And we get to see Seska again.
Yeah, we do. That's a plus fucking one, man.
Hell
right there.
Hell yeah.
I was like, Seska. And was Seska in blue? Again?
Was she? Well, I remember she was in Mckee leather, as was Chicote, and that distracted me enough to forget everything else.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching. That's right, they were back in their Mckee leathers. But I do remember that I know that in the second episode, Seska was in blue. Then after that, she was in Ops yellow.
Yeah,
or mustard.
Yeah, they switched her. Yeah. Why? Don't know.
But I remember watching it. I'm like,
we need engineering crew. Let's put her in the other uniform.
When I saw Kess with her original hair, I'm like, oh, this has to be a holodeck program of some kind. But I do like how...
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
The hair's a giveaway.
The dead giveaway. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
This will not be the first or last time.
I kind of scanned ahead, so it's not... I did a bad thing. Actually, that's not true. I'm not gonna take the rap for that. Social media did a bad thing to me, and someone like said, I love Kess, I love blah 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 blah, and there's like, well, did you see Fury? I'm like, no, but they posted a picture of it, and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Damn it, guys!
Right? I'm like, why am I supposed to?
Social media, don't spoil. Oh, dicks!
Like, but they just showed like a picture of her and blah blah blah. I didn't see it. I didn't see the episode itself. I know, right? Yeah, but here, okay,
I'm sorry
so
I was spoiled for you.
But that's a whole other thing. It's like, okay, this show's like 25 years old. It can't be spoiled.
I mean, it can though.
It can, but it's 25 years old.
I mean, doing a show with Patrick where he's watching Babylon 5 for the very first time, another show that's 25 plus years old. I am extremely protective of his experience, knowing that there's a lot of information out there that will spoil. He's very good about not looking anything up. He's getting a very sight unseen experience.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the comments on our feed,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the enforcer.
I'll say that's good. It's good he has you for doing that.
Just to try. And the nice thing is the community is all on board with that. They get it. I haven't had to delete a comment in more than a season.
That's also good.
They're all on board. And it's great because a lot of it is old vets. We have a couple of first timers with us, but it's a lot of people like us who've been watching the show forever.
Right.
And nevertheless, they're very respectful of it. And I thank them so much because that makes that job a lot easier.
That's pretty awesomely supportive, though, when you think about it.
Well, Babylon 5 fans were a special bunch,
True enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, thanks to everybody who watches Babel for 5. Okay, and that brings us down to the very last episode of season 3,
Right.
Scorpion.
Right.
With possibly the best teaser ever.
I love the Scorpion story. Although, when Chicote told the Scorpion story to Janeway, it's a different Scorpion story. It's the Fox version. There are a couple different versions.
Yes, there are.
Right. There's the Fox version. There's the turtle version. I think there's also like a salamander or a lizard version. Basically, they're all the same. It's just basically the scorpion's going to sting you like in the middle of the lake. You're both going to die. It's because of my nature.
Yes.
Right. But I think that it's interesting that. Okay, so I know a lot of people probably had an issue with having a species 8472 be a species that is like biologically superior to the Borg. How can anyone possibly take out the Borg? Why would that ever happen? That's a bunch of garbage, right? You know why? Because as much as like I'll say, I love like the parables and stuff, and I love like all those old sayings. There's always a bigger fish, right? The galaxy is gigantic.
Exactly.
There's always a bigger species. There's always a more powerful species.
Yes, right? Which is the problem when you kind of create these antagonists, right? Is there's always somebody more powerful and more supreme out there because they have to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, humans go out in space. Obviously, we're awesome, right? And then you're going to, experience the Klingons, and the Klingons are awesome. Or the Romulans, or the Vulcans, or, yada, yada. The Cardassians, bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Everybody's got their strength, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like in Babylon 5, it's like where you think that the Centauri think they're awesome. Wait till you see them in Bari. Right?
Exactly.
And you think the Minbari are awesome. Wait till you see the Vorlon, right? So
yes, and wait until you see the shadows, and what they can do,
or the first ones, so it keeps escalating, bigger and bigger. And bigger.
Absolutely, right. Which is why a lot of them had to go out to the rim so that us lesser beings here can try and do something with ourselves.
Right. So anyway. I didn't really have that big of a problem seeing that. I kind of like that they are like they have bioorganic technology, Vorlon. So,
but also a good edge against the Borg, which yes, they merge the organic with the synthetic, but not quite the same. They're a little more synthetic than organic.
Right. And I do like the fact that we get to see. I like how they introduce Seven as a character, because it's not just. Here's our ambassador, clad head to toe in skin tight silver. No, you're gonna see the drone Borg, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. I also liked how Janeway just like took no shit. I'm gonna have to put an 18+ on this, but she's like, it's like, you want to deal with us? You're gonna deal with we want to deal with like one person. We're not gonna deal with this collective stuff. You don't take these freaking things off my neck.
Yeah,
right?
We can't do that. We're not playing that way.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I like that Janeway kind of put her foot down and said, look, no, I'm making the rules.
Right.
Took some guts.
I'm not sure if I liked Scorpion 1 or Scorpion 2 better.
Ooh, I would say Scorpion 1 has more of the action-packed part of the story, but part 2 has a really good character-driven dynamic, both with 7 of 9, but as well as between the conflict of Janeway and Chicote.
Yeah. And I was just like, don't break my heart.
Oh, I know. I mean, part 1 sets it up, but part 2 is the payoff of that.
Yeah, because she was like, I told you to follow my instructions. Like, Chicote's like, well, I got to do what I got to do, yo.
Yeah, I mean, he was in charge at that point. He made the best decision he could, and then then they got to figure it out. And I love it when Janeway and Chicote are at odds. I really do. I like to see them fight.
I do too, because it's like that whole we're going to rest in the laurels of our relationship, and everything's all hunky dory and smooth. But all of a sudden,
and then it's not.
Yeah, we got
and then.
And also, freaking awesome that John Rhys Davies is Leonardo da Vinci. I thought that was freaking awesome.
Oh, I love the Da Vinci program. I love that Janeway is just trying to get into a different kind of like side of herself in season 3. That, again, is another Jerry Taylor kind of touch.
Yeah.
Also, it's Kate Mulgrew. Kate Mulgrew's mom was a painter.
Oh, okay.
And so I think Kate at that point is heavily influenced by her mom and trying to put that on screen, and there you go.
I really liked that, and it was just nice that she was able to see certain things differently from different perspectives, just being able to clear her mind of, the 24th century era of technology, going all the way back to like the Da Vinci era of just simplicity, but they're of technology.
Well, and you know what else is nice is, I don't know, I feel like it's more constructive for Janeway to be in that sort of a hologram program than, say, the whole Victorian holo novel that she did.
I didn't like
with
that.
the bratty kids. Why does she want to babysit them and teach them Latin? I never understood.
Yeah, I mean, like, she was like a kind of like the governess, and she doesn't strike me as the governess type. Like
why do you want to keep bossing people around? That's what you do during your day job.
Well, it's kind of like, you're a captain, but you're taking kind of like this governess thing where you're, it's like, I don't know. Anyway.
Just no. We don't need to. I like the costumes; they're pretty, but stop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Da Vinci, great.
so for this two-part Deep Space franchise, for season 3, I just want to let you know that my number one episode for this entire season, my number one episode, was Distant Origin.
Okay.
By far.
All right. By far. Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
By far. My second is probably the Real Life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that for sure. That's an emotional thing.
Yeah, it was just. It's okay. So anytime, this is for all of our audience out there. Anytime, like I cry like ugly man tears at the end of an episode, it automatically goes to like the top of my list. Automatically, which is why, like, on Babylon 5, Sleeping in Light's on the top of my list. Believers on the top of my list, right? Those episodes make me still to this day make me cry ridiculous man tears.
Yeah, we're still
Ugly
all
tears.
collectively not over that. Yeah.
For
real though. Okay, those are good picks. I don't know what my top are, honestly. There's a lot of really good highs, but as well as some lows in this season for me. Like, I feel like Basics 2-parter is a great opener to season 3. But then season 3 ender, Scorpion, is just as good doing its job. And in the meantime, we've got great episodes. I like Sacred Ground. I like challenging Janeway and her faith and maybe lack thereof. Future's End is a fantastic 2-parter. It's a fun romp. Let's see. Blood Fever, I think, is great just because we have that homage to the Ponfar and what that means. And it does kind of get Paris and Taurus jump-started, which I'm not opposed to entirely. Before and After is a fantastic episode for Kess. Distant Origin is just a great story. I mean, I'm so torn. I love a lot of things for different reasons, if that makes any sense.
No, it's a strong season. So far between seasons 1 through 3, I think my favorite season so far, episode for episode, has probably been season 2.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting to know. I mean, season 3, I feel, has bigger highs, but also has bigger lows in terms of how much it can crash. So overall, it sort of averages to just a little bit above average. But that's also where I'd put season 2.
I think everything's very consistent, right? I like sometimes when you like knock it out of the park with certain episodes, like big episodes, but I've never felt like I've watched like episodes where I'm just like, oh, really, like, at the end, like,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't, but I'm just saying that I just don't remember being like, man, that episode was dumb.
Here's the thing: is first watch is different from rewatch.
True.
You know, some have much better staying power than others.
Oh, for sure, for sure. You know, like I said, there's like a handful of things I remember. I mean, Caretaker, I think, is actually the best pilot in any season of Star Trek ever.
It's pretty solid. Yeah.
It's a very good, that or Broken Bow. Those two are really,
Broken
really
Bow's
super
good
solid.
too.
Yeah. I think Emissary for Deep Space Nine is a very weak pilot. Star Trek, the original series, never got a pilot.
No, didn't need one.
You know, I mean, like Where No Man Has Gone
didn't
Before,
do it.
I guess it's kind of a pilot. Maybe The Cage is kind of like a pilot. I guess when I'm like, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, but nah.
Yeah, not like
Especially
now.
when we get the menagerie later.
Right. And Encounter at Farpoint was terrible.
It was kind of a hot mess. They're trying to just smash together two different stories, and it does not work.
So right now, at this moment in time, I have finished season 4 right up to Scientific Method. I have not done Year of Hell yet because I have not had the time to give myself over to Mike Vehar. He directs Year of Hell Part 2.
Hey,
Sweet.
B5 reference.
Yeah.
Yo.
Awesome. I dig that. Okay. Because I do want to like pay that a lot of attention because it's a big deal, right?
Absolutely.
And a former president of Star Trek 6, Kurtwood Smith, is in Year of Hell, I do believe, as the Krenim captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to not forget Kurtwood Smith. Right?
It's true. He is a force of nature, isn't he?
And I do remember, like, the whole thing was, his whole reason for doing what he did was because of his wife, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to restore the timeline to the point where they have a happy life, more or less.
Before she got sick, right?
Uh-huh.
Because she got sick.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, if you think about the butterfly effect, just how
Right.
one little thing can screw up so much.
True enough. Yeah.
You get Year of Hell.
Right. I can't wait.
Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, when you do get to the end of season 4, we'll have to do another Deep Space franchise. In the meantime, we do have B5 content scheduled for next week. I believe we're doing famous quotes, top 5
Yes.
next week, right?
Right.
Did we decide on Ivanova? Is that what we're doing?
I thought we were doing Sheridan's famous quotes. But we can do Ivanova.
Let's do Ivanova.
Okay.
There's
That's
some
fine.
good stuff there. Let's do Ivanova quotes. We'll do that next week. And then we've got other stuff ready in the docket, too.
I really want to do kind of like an entire like season dedicated towards Crusade. Like doing, you know, because
Yes.
I don't
need
think
to
you and I
rewatch
have,
it.
you and I have not watched nearly enough Crusade.
I know for sure I have not watched it as much as a lot of other fans have. It was something I watched for the first time, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I've watched it one more time since. So
You know who's
I have a lot of absorption to do yet.
The most interesting character to me, the character I hated the most and liked probably the most at the end of watching Crusade was Max Eilerman.
Oh, well, he's an interesting kind of double-edged sword, right?
He's such a
kinda love to
good
hate him.
character. Yeah.
I definitely see the potential with him. You know who my favorite character, I think, in all of Crusade is? I'll just spoil this now. Do you want to guess?
Let me see. Is it Galen?
No.
I feel about him.
No.
I'm going to say I don't know.
Lockley.
Actually,
I have a lot of respect for Lockley. Like, what she gets in Crusade is really super freaking good.
Yeah, Lockley does.
I love that she and Gideon have this very non-committal relationship. Like, they both know what's up. Like, you got your life, I got my life.
I was going to say Doreen in a field. Like BC says Doreen in a field, but I'm just like,
I mean, she's great. I do like her.
yeah.
And they develop her so far, but they don't really capitalize on that character in the first season.
Yeah. True enough.
But you know what's interesting is I really like the actress more than the character.
Carrie Dobro, I believe her name is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big fan.
Yeah. All right, guys. So next week, Ivanova, top 5. We're going to rank them. Oh, that's painful. It's going to hurt.
I think, well, okay, so sometimes when we do these lists, because there are certain quotes that are like obviously then like the top of the list, like he goes, "Who am I? I'm Susan Ivanova, daughter of Sophie." Yeah, it's like, right? That's like, so you got to take that off the table.
Okay, so it's got to be everything but that, because that's obviously the
that's
first choice.
Obviously her. Yeah, that's it's like I'm the right hand of God, and this is going to kick your sorry butt across. Like you can't do that one. That's her greatest quote ever. Right.
Well, you know what? No, I have a bone to pick with that. I don't know if that's her single greatest moment.
But it's her most signature quote.
Is it though?
It is.
Is it?
I think yes, it is.
I want to bring attention to my shirt that I'm wearing.
Ivanova is always right. Is a truth.
I would say, as far as impressionability goes, in season 1, it's that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of like Delenn. Like Delenn has so many great quotes, but everyone remembers Delenn for this, the Severed Dreams
Be
quote.
Somewhere else.
You're
right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's her best quote, but it's her most memorable quote.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm getting where you're coming from now. Now that said, though, then I think I need to outlaw this one because that defaults to my number 1.
We're gonna write about.
I mean,
right?
I'm just saying.
Like yes sir, 3 bags full. I mean, we're gonna do that. I mean, like, right? So
well,
it's tough.
Dang,
right? Because
it is tough. It is tough.
Well,
and what's great is it's all subjective. We're all going to have a different opinion on it, and that's why you should join us next week to share your top 5 so we can hash it out and put all the good quotes into this show
for
next
sure.
week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, Earl says like there's the Ivanova mantra, which is what you're wearing.
Exactly. So really, honestly, this is my number 1. That's why I have this shirt.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not.
I mean, the autograph I have from Claudia Christian is Ivanova is God.
Right.
Because if there is a God, it's her, and I worship her.
True enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. But the thing is that it's like it's so easy to.
Yeah, so, but it's too easy, and that's the problem. So I'm going to try and think of things outside my obvious contenders, which I'll just default as, hey, look, number 1, duh.
Right, like no one's going to pick like I am the hand. Like what does that mean? Like no.
But you were the hand.
Yeah, you were the hand. What does that mean? Like no one's going to pick
exactly.
That. Right.
So I'll try and be a little more creative than that.
All right. Okay. Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
So
top 5 next week.
Top 5 Ivanova quotes next week.
All right. And Super Dave, I hope you can join us. If not, I understand. We'll have a little rap party in the Discord chat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if anyone wants to hit Discord after this, that's cool. I'll try and do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And,
I'm gonna do dinner, but I'll join in tonight.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
West Coast timeline.
We were like way over time. Oh my god.
Way over time. We gotta shut up.
Yeah. So that was it. Thanks everyone for joining us for the second part of Deep Space Nine season 3. Our discussion on my first viewing. Jesus. Deep Space Franchise Voyager season 3. Thank you very much. I don't know what I'd do if Char wasn't here. I'd probably forget in my head if it wasn't connected to my neck. So
don't rely on me for anything, buddy.
Deep Space Nine Voyager season 3 part 2. It was fun. It was informative and
stimulating.
Yes. And
Wayne's World quote. It was informative and stimulating.
And we're going to do season 4 as soon as I wrap up season 4 with there's a lot to get to in season 4.
Yeah. So that's okay. You can take your time with it, and we'll get to it when we get to it. We've got plenty of B5 to discuss in the meantime. No problem there.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so we will see you next time here on Zocalocast. And until then, be seeing you.
Bye, everybody.